Okay guys, so I got actually worked on this today. This is the enclosure for Salem, the Salmopaeus pulcher. I just went ahead and did it. Instead of doing a little bit at a time, I got everything glued the way I wanted it, walked away from it for a little while, make sure the glue was set, had the holes drilled, got vent holes on this side, vent holes here, there's a few down below here in this area, and over here, and then a handful up on top. This is the plant that was in Salem's enclosure, so I took it out, just kind of brushed it off, cleaned it up. I didn't really want to scrub it clean because I wanted her to know that, you know, her scent is still there, quote unquote, but some of her silk is left on the leaves, so I want her to be able to feel comfortable. If you can see, maybe you can't because we got a reflection. There she is right there. This was back 3 years ago, when the Faunopelma hense ended up in my care from the find at work. When the kids were fascinated, I mean, we had a tarantula prior to that, but the kids were kind of fascinated, so we decided for Christmas that year we were going to get them each their own spider, which of course none of them took care of. I took care of them anyway, but Alex got a Nandu Colorado, or Nandu chromatus. Haley got a Grammostola pulchripes, and Eric got a Brachypelma albopilosum, which I still have. He's the only one, or she's the only one out of all of them that I do still have. Those were ordered through Jamie's a long time ago. I have not used, well, those were the first three. This one here and one of my Salmopaeus erminias were the two that I got for myself during her Black Friday sale. Now, this was years ago, before I knew anything about the shipping laws. And this is the spider with the Salmopaeus erminia, is when I found out. Because I was stopped at my local post office, and I know the guy very well because I used to do trading cards, so I was mailing stuff out constantly. Well, you guys can look here. He asked me what was in the box, just matter-of-factly. So I told him. He's like, "Oh, dude, you can't do that." And I was like, "What do you mean?" So he told me, and he showed me the paper. You know, they have a little book of things that can and can't be sent through the mail, and he showed me right there, and he's like, "You know, I could confiscate this package and get you in trouble." He's like, "Well, I'll let you go because you didn't know this time." He's like, "But don't do it again." So from that point on, I haven't. But so she is a little over 3.5, probably closer to 4 years old, because I got her in as a very small 1/2 inch, I think, sling, and I raised her up since then. So she's very special to me. I definitely plan on breeding her. I do have 2 other ones, another female and a suspected male. Cross my fingers that he's a male. He sure looks it ventrally, but you just never know. We thought this one was a male till the spermathecae came apart, came about in one of the molts. I was tickled beyond belief that this spider ended up being a female. So just to give you a real rundown, you know, as a basic water dish, I don't know if this one's going to hold water. I'm testing it. There's a handful of them that weren't, and I somehow inadvertently put them all together. So if this one doesn't hold water and I notice that the substrate's getting wet below it, then I know there's like, some of these get like a tiny pinhole crack in them and they seep water down through. If that's the case, I'll just take it out and put something else in there. Just straight cocoa fiber, not very deep because she doesn't need it. She may bring some up in her webbing. She did line a little bit with her webbing before, but this gives me a much better view of her, and they are such a pretty spider. It's a shame that she was in an enclosure that she was in, that you really couldn't see her, and I really couldn't film her, so you guys couldn't see her. They are voracious eaters when they're not in pre-molt. I think the easiest Salmopaeus to keep, in my opinion, out of the 4 species that I've had, I've seemed to have the best success with the pulkers than I've had with anything else, although my 2 Reduncus have been perfectly fine too. I've had a few Armenia that I've lost, and I've had a few Cambridge that I lost as slings, but I did lose one sling. I don't even know what happened to it, really, to be honest with you. I did lose one, and then I got one juvenile that ended up with the DKS symptoms. I felt terrible because I really liked them. That was the second one that I had gotten, and that's the reason that I have the male now, is that, you know, my friend felt bad for me. She ended up getting me the Faunopelma hensi penultimate male because she knew I had the female and knew I wanted to try and breed her someday, so she got that, and she added in that juvenile or subadult, I guess, Salem-Pace pulker that was unsexed, suspected male from the beginning. So yeah, so that's the enclosure. You can see what I did, the cork bark in the back. I know this isn't the best lighting. It's probably better off with a front type of lighting, but this will just kind of give you a view of what you can expect. Oh, I wished I would have got that out now. She'll just end up incorporating that little stringer of glue there. So I glued this piece there and here so that she can come back through here and then make this her hideaway. Once she starts to climb, she should web there, and she will web along those plants. So they're rather webby, to be honest with you. Not super webby, but I think that they do tend to web a little bit more than some of the other Salem-Pace, and definitely out and about a little bit more than the other Salem-Pace that I've had. If you give an Armenia a proper setup, you probably won't see it very much. That's not necessarily true with the pulkers. I definitely see her and the other 2 quite often. And there she is right there. So there's her feet. So she's going to hide there for probably a little while till she gets used to everything, and then she'll start wandering, and we'll do an update in another few days and see how she's doing. And again, just a quick build. I glued this guy. You can see it only actually caught a few places. It actually caught the glue there. This side never even caught. So it's not even actually, it's only glued on this side over here. This side kind of popped off. And what I did is I put glue on there, and I put a big huge jug of water on top of it while the enclosure was laying down to try and get that glue to catch. But as soon as I took the water off, that side popped back off again. I used the Dremel to cut this, and I don't like it because you have to grind all that plastic, because the Dremel doesn't really cut, it just melts. So as that grinding wheel or cutting wheel is going through there, it's actually just burring up the plastic going across. So then you have to get a sander. So I used a sander on there, and I probably used too fine of a sander or too coarse of a sander wheel on there, and then it milkied this up a little bit. So I'm not real particularly happy with that, but it is what it is. I'll just look at it from here up. That's all. So, okay, so that's her. And again, thanks everybody for the subscriptions. Being at the 500 mark is pretty cool. And look forward to the collaboration video soon between a bunch of us, YouTube, Tarantula YouTube channels. We're going to do what we call 10 questions. So what I'll do is I'll figure out 10 questions to ask one of the other YouTube presenters, and then they'll have to answer them in their video. And then they'll come up with 10 questions to ask the next person, and they'll just tag who they want based on the people that are in the group so far. I don't know who's going to start it because when they start it, they really can't start it with 10 questions because they haven't been asked those 10 questions yet. So what I was thinking is that each of us could come up with one question to ask that person, and then he can answer them. But then when he comes back to his turn, it'll be kind of hard to find a bunch of different questions to ask. So look forward to those, and that'll get you guys some exposure to some of the other channels, and maybe channels that you haven't subscribed to before. You'll be able to see some other content, some other spiders, and people's different ways of doing things. So thanks again for watching, and we will see everybody real soon. Got to make up a label. and talk to you later.